This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
And we're back at Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater news, operations, and insights from the people that book the movies. I'm Cody, and with me are Kyle and Ken.
Hello.
Hola.
Hello, everyone. We're back. Is this our second podcast of the year?
Yes. Technically, yes. Our second episode of this year, but we haven't recorded only one. We've recorded only once in 2021.
Numero uno.
This is our first one back, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's our first one back. Woo! How's the new year treating us so far? So good?
I have no idea what day it is. I found that out this morning.
Well, why? What'd you think it was?
I don't know. I just kept thinking the days were different days than the others. I don't know. I don't know why. That's how good of a start that we're at.
Today is Friday.
It's somewhere between the 4th and the 9th. We haven't hit the 10th yet. I know
I can
that.
just narrow it down from there.
Oh gosh, this is not good and off to a good start. Okay.
Well, I hope everyone else is good other than me.
Yeah, I think so far the year is okay. We do have a few updates on the Save Our Screens grants, the SOS grants. So we'll get into that in a little bit. There's some booking strategies for the next few months that I wanted to just kind of talk about. And there's just a few upcoming release changes. Nothing too big yet, but we are going to touch upon a few potential changes. And we'll go over some news. So let's kick it off with the release changes we do know about. Wrath of Man from United Artists was completely removed from the release schedule. Not surprising. They had not reached out to us, and we had gotten no marketing information, no print counts, no nothing from them. So and we were a couple weeks out. I mean,
we're 7 days out.
Well, now we're 7 days out.
We're between 12 and 5 days out.
Depending upon where Kyle is in his schedule.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll just take a word for it. I have no clue. No idea.
And then we found out the United States versus Billie Holiday was removed from the release schedule in February because Paramount, I think, sold it to Hulu streaming. So I think that's a stream only.
Way to go, Paramount. Keep supporting those theaters that built that marquee in that studio and paid all of your employees for the last century.
And
poor Paramount. They've sold all their product.
Everything.
All they have is Quiet Place and Maverick and
Rumble.
They do have Rumble. They haven't sold it yet.
They haven't sold it yet.
Holding out hope.
So this does not bode well for the way the release schedule is going. We all knew that January was very weak, that besides The Marksman, there's really nothing in January, but we were kind of okay with that because we knew the Christmas titles would carry us through for a couple weeks. Then we get a little shot of Marksman. And then we were hoping starting that first week in February that we would get Cinderella and just start building. But Sony, there's some talks that Sony may move Cinderella and Morbius. Now, I don't know what their plan is. I would not be surprised if they move Cinderella because we are about 30 days out from that, and there's no trailer, there's no marketing materials, there's no print count plans, there's nothing. And so this is, the time where you got to really decide because people need time to market it and to know what it is. So if they do move Cinderella and Morbius, which is in March, I would hope that the best case scenario would be that they move Cinderella into the Morbius slot and keep March looking really strong. It would come out after Raya and the Last Dragon, so hopefully that would burn off a little before Cinderella came out, and then that we would have two family titles to kick us off in March. Because they do need to build a slate before they open up anything big like Bond. So if we see some movement in the next week, which I think we will, I think United Artists is going to decide on Bond. And they're going to look at what the month before Bond, which comes out in April, they're going to look at March and say, what do we got? And if they move Morbius out and they don't replace it with Cinderella, I don't think that's looking very good for March, and that's not going to bode well to keep No Time to Die in April. So
how many Groundhog Days like this have we had in the last 10 months?
I know it's purely all speculation at this point, but
so many times at this point.
I'm hoping I'm willing in any changes into existence. Like if Sony's going to move Cinderella, I really hope that they keep it within the first quarter of this year and get it in that March Morbius slot. Because I can see them, Morbius is a big film for them, and I can see them wanting to move Morbius to a better, more lucrative corridor when New York and LA are probably open. Because I just don't see them putting Bond or Morbius if New York and LA are not open, and they're so bad right now. I mean, COVID cases are almost worse now than they were before. And so I just don't see them just miraculously opening up in the next month. So we've got some real huge challenges there. Luckily, we'll hopefully have this Save Our Screens grants, these SOS grants to get us through this time. And that will be a huge lifeline for the industry. But man, the release schedule is not building like we were really hoping we would be looking at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping that this doesn't mean that Cinderella and Morbius are going to be pushed all the way into 2022, because, I mean, we probably should be hoping that Cinderella gets put in the Morbius time, and then Morbius probably gets pushed back later in 2021, but judging by how the release calendar looks for 2021, it can be pretty packed, especially if things go smoothly and putting things back to normal, which is a good thing, but if they decide to put everything to 2022 right away, and then things keep worsening, that's just not that's just going to be a really bad look. That's just not going to be helpful for theaters in the slightest.
No, it's going to be just a replay of last year, and it just is going to further the streaming agenda, and we just don't want that. We want theaters to be able to open. We need them to have product to show, because it doesn't help if they can be open if there's no product. So it's just this catch-22 that, they're not releasing product because theaters aren't open, and theaters can't get open if there's no product to play. So
yeah, there's a huge, it seems like there's a misunderstanding between the two. Yeah. Like they don't understand that they have to get the theaters open. Like the film companies have to advocate for the theaters, like the theaters have advocated for the film companies and sold their product.
And we're just at this point in this pandemic where some businesses have been closed for nearly a year. It will be a year in March. If we don't get product and some of these places don't open, they will have been shut down for a full year. And I don't know any business that can just take a year off and survive. Yeah. I mean, that's just, it's so unheard of. And at what point do we say we got to get open, or this is all going away? And how can they justify that?
I wonder how, at what point too will studios realize that and try to convince, I don't know, the government or something to possibly be able to try and get these theaters open a lot sooner than what they've already been experiencing.
With all the protocols in place, there's no reason not to at least allow them a chance.
Again, it's been a year. Not one case has been traced back to a movie theater. Not one infection, not one case has been traced back to a movie theater in a full year. So at a certain point, if your cases are rising and you've locked everything down and you're still locked down, it's obviously lockdowns are not working. So we need to rethink a strategy here. But so yeah, we're just doing the song and dance with the release schedule, just speculating on what's going to stick and trying to strategize for if it gets blown out. Now, unlike last year, we came up with repertory product and events, and we had some product to play. And this year, I just don't know about the strength of the repertory. I mean, we can fall back on that, but minimum guarantees are going to be a huge, play a huge part in that and make it be a huge deciding factor. Like, it might be better for that screen to be dark than it is to play $100, a $200 minimum on it.
And we haven't seen any of these repertory titles perform like the new stuff. Not even close.
Not even close. It was kind of working out fine when we were in this new kind of model where we had restricted seat counts, and we had all these protocols, and we were just barely open, and it made sense to have some repertory in there. It was getting us through, and it was getting us through to the time where we were figuring out this new model and how to operate with restrictions. But now we're through that. Audiences are through that. They've been stuck at home this whole time, and if they haven't watched it in the theater, they have been watching it on streaming. So the repertory is I don't think performing as well. I don't think there's a lot of value to it. And you might just have to really consider, if some of these things move, you may shut down again, or you may shut down screens or limit screen counts or have dark screens. And those are all conversations that this time, and last year we were trying to completely avoid that, but now it might be a real possibility to save expenses.
Yeah. And dark screen doesn't mean that screen's shut down and locked up.
Right.
It means you're running private events and,
yes,
distance birthday parties.
It just means
you're doing everything you can to utilize that space.
Right.
It doesn't go
You're just
unused.
not committing yourself to a minimum guarantee on a booking. Mm-hmm. If they apply in your state, you're not committing yourself to that. You're leaving that screen flexible for any private event that can come your way, a private rental.
And then there's always the opportunity to add shows if we do
get something,
or if you're lucky enough to be on a big run with Marksman to add an extra 7:00 show and really put it out there next week.
But without having to commit that screen to that. And so I think that's how we gotta look at these. Is you have your core screens with the core content, and we might swap out a film now and then. You may swap out News of the World for the Marksman next week, and then the week after that there's nothing, and then the week after that you might have all the little things with Denzel Washington. That might swap out a Monster Hunter screen, and you might still be playing Wonder Woman. And you may limit, because of this, you might go back to showtimes of just 7 p.m. once a night, or just weekends. I mean, this is the time where we have to really look at operations and utilize butts and seats at the most optimum times.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got the new butts and seat scores coming up on the website.
A 1 through 10 butts and seat score.
You have 10 seats. How many butts are going in it? That's what we're telling you.
Yeah. So we'll get into the launch of our website in a bit. I'm super excited about that. And we're going to definitely talk more about our SSI score. But let's just say that our SSI score values a film more on did it get audiences to your theater rather than the quality of the film. So
yeah, we're going to talk about butts later.
More butts. So for booking strategies, I'm looking at the next, the rest of the month, and just kind of, not trying to overextend the screens, not trying to overburden clients with minimums. I'm just really going to take it slow. I'm going to look at it week at week, and we're going to have tough conversations coming up about having screens open and what your hours of operation are going to be. And, can you be open enough to cover expenses, given that these might be the films we have?
And there are plenty of like art and documentary films and horror films from independent studios that you can cultivate an audience from if you can promote it.
But the thing is, you have to promote it, and that is marketing dollars you may not have right now either. And that's a huge issue and a big component that nobody talks about. Yeah, there are plenty of films. I could book so many independent products. We've had even competitors to SSI put films on their release schedules like they're legitimate movies, but I've never heard of them, and I'm in the industry. You think audiences heard of these things?
They don't even know movie theaters are open.
Yeah, and so you are up against that. That is your mountain to climb, and if you don't have marketing dollars to spend to educate your audience on them, you need things like well-known actors. That's where the repertory came in. Or you need new content. The new stuff that will bring people in. And if we don't have that, just having a film on screen is not enough. And I'd like to be more optimistic about the independent films, but the reality is they cost a lot of money to market. You have to educate the audience about them. It's way more trying to entice them to come to you. The film's not going to do that. So I don't know if those are really viable options, but they're there. And and Silver Screen Insider will always put those in the movie database and try to get you as much information as you can, because if it seems like it is something that would work for your theater, we want to get you all that we can on it. It's just that as I'm looking at the booking strategies, I'm not going to rely on that stuff. It just is too much right now. And having gone through so long without product and finally getting a little boost with the Christmas stuff, I don't know if we waste those precious dollars marketing on obscure, unknown movies. Yeah.
Well, speaking of boost, you've got some new information on the Save Our Screens grants.
We do.
Which is awesome.
We do. So, yes, we talked about this at Christmas and on our last podcast. The Save Our Screens initiative was passed by Congress. It is taking...
Oh, Kyle, you missed the air horn. Come on.
Oh, no. Beep, 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 beep. Oh,
yeah.
It's over. I'm sorry,
You're going to get a
everyone.
soundboard so I could just hit a button.
So I don't
pew, pew, pew.
so I don't have to be awake and
you don't
be in the know.
You're not allowed to be in charge of any exuberance today. She's got one eye open over there.
It's been a long week, people. So, Save Our Screens. I will refer to them as the SOS grants from here on out. The grants the portal is not set up. They will be done through the Small Business Administration. You will go online and apply through there, but it's not set up yet. But what you do need to have to be prepared for that when they do get that portal up and running is that you do need a separate government ID number to be able to apply for a federal grant. And this is a number that is different than your EIN number. So this is not your tax EIN number. This is a completely separate number. You need to apply for it. We will have some links on Silver Screen Insider to help you navigate where to apply for this government ID number. One of the things that we didn't realize you needed to have, which is good to know now, is you need a Duns and Bradstreet number. So that's a number.
Who's-y, what's-y?
Yeah, given to
Brooks and Dunn, the country duo.
Yeah, the
Those
country duo
icons?
ranks all businesses in the country. No, a Duns and Bradstreet number, and we'll have links for you to go get that. It's a number that is applied to all companies in the U.S. I'm really not super sure what it does, but I know that Silver Screen Insider has a Duns and Bradstreet number. So
and it's required for this grant.
And it's required to get the government ID to apply for this grant.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure everyone else is just like us, where we're like, we don't know what these numbers are, but for some reason they want them, and it's going to be a very big hassle, but it is going to be a hassle that I think will be worth it for a lot of theaters out there.
So worth it. We're all going to go through this together. In fact, I'm going to go through the process and try to write up a how-to as I navigate the process as well, so that I can help everybody.
It's going to be like one of those Christmas recipes that Midwest people write, where it's like, open a bottle of wine, pour in the cream of something soup, take a drink.
Maybe.
Get the cranberry sauce out, take another drink.
Maybe.
Turkey the stuff.
It will definitely not have pour into a glass. It'll be like drink right from the bottle.
I didn't realize Midwest cooking was just a big drinking game.
Well, why do you think they make casseroles? So they just throws a bunch of stuff together and puts it in the oven.
Yeah, the drinks aren't even for the casseroles. It's just for you.
Yeah.
Throw it all together. Now have a bottle of wine. You're done.
Super easy cooking. So you can have that bottle of wine.
Shout out to the drinkers in the Midwest.
Yeah. I married one.
Yeah.
A good old Midwest boy.
Can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
I'm still here, guys.
Oh yeah, Kyle. Kyle's here.
Still here.
So,
stay on track.
Yeah. NATO was saying that they were hoping that portal and that application process will be available by the end of the month, but it's government. The Capitol building just got infiltrated. I don't think that they're going to have that portal up by the end of the month. So
I think even if everything ran smoothly, you'd be lucky to get it there.
Yeah,
by the end of the
true.
month.
Yeah, let's be honest. This is the federal government here. Nothing's going to happen quickly.
No. But whenever it does happen, we'll try and be as helpful about the process as possible.
Yes. So I'm going to get into this process in depth really next week, and I will update everybody on next week's podcast and hopefully have more how-tos, write-ups about what I went through on it.
Yeah.
We'll record that separately so Kyle and I can take a nap.
Yeah. You didn't take a mini nap during the Brooks and Dunn spiel that she had?
I love me some Brooks and Dunn.
Who doesn't? Come on.
What's one Brooks and Dunn song?
Red Dirt Road?
Yeah, there you go. Nailed it.
I could not have told you that. I could not have
That's the big one that I know, so I just threw it out there.
I mean, I've heard of Brooks and Dunn, but I couldn't name a song.
But you know that they're great. They're great.
Yeah.
Can't name a song, but they're great.
Sure. So good.
Shout out to the Brooks and Dunn fans out there, I guess. I'm sure they're listening.
All right. So save our screens. We'll keep you updated on that. But I think that is imperative. I feel that once we get the SOS grants going, that they'll probably be a better choice than more PPP money. And so if you choose to do the second round of PPP, you're going to not be eligible for these SOS grants. So I think everybody should try to do the SOS grants because I think it's covers a lot more expenses and you would get a lot more money for the grant than if you do a second round of PPP. Yeah.
And it's guaranteed.
Yeah, this is a grant.
Free money.
This is not a loan, it's a grant. PPP money,
okay,
I think it's still a loan.
Free money?
Free money.
I mean, technically it's our money, but it's free.
Yeah.
They're giving it back to us for free. Isn't that nice, guys?
All of our money back to us. No, I think they're giving our children's money to us for free.
Maybe your children.
Yeah. I mean, you're
Speak for yourselves. Yeah. But no, this whenever it does get done, this will all be good thing. All good things. They'll happen.
So, what's going on in news, guys? What? Anything special?
Well,
anything at all?
Anything out there?
Yeah, I mean anything?
For people who might care, last week, Warner Bros. And DC Films were saying that they want to, starting in 2022, they want to move forward with releasing 4 superhero movies in theaters while having 2 of their movies go on HBO Max, and like the 4 movies would just be like, you know, the big titles that everyone's familiar with and the sequels that probably follow with them, while the HBO Max would just be more unknown properties and more smaller scale stories as compared to like big blockbuster type stuff. So hopefully that means that they're going to stick with their word about, you know, not doing day and date after 2021, but you never know how things are going to pan out. So take it with a grain of salt, but that's the initial plan right now.
Well, and that's how we had seen, if you take COVID out of the equation, this is how I had seen the product being split up in the future, that you would have your dedicated theatrical movies, which would be just a few and franchise films only. And then everything else would kind of go to a streaming situation. And I think we'll really see that a lot more with Disney. They may have 1 or 2, like a Marvel film a year that sets off the kind of the next phase of what they do on their Disney Plus films.
They talked about this all pre-COVID, that they were going to do the major universe building on Disney Plus, like the real like big storytelling, and then the final episode was going to be a film kind of thing where you had to go both places to get the whole picture.
Yeah. So I think that they're kind of going back to that post-pandemic model will be what we kind of thought it would be about this time. So it's just nice to see that there should be some dedicated theatrical films. Now, for what this really affects theater owners and operators right now is that there probably will just not be as much over the 52-week calendar period, as much product as there had been in the past, which in some ways is good because it won't cannibalize each other. But in some ways, you know, you want to refresh. Audiences have short attention spans and you want that constant refresh. And there may be some more ups and down weekends where you have really good weekends and then a few turd weekends where you're just in between product. And
it depends on what your situation is too. If you're 6-screen location, you've got room now that there's less product.
Right.
Like you can make things work.
It probably
but if you're a
refreshes
16 screen,
quickly.
You need 3 new releases every week.
Yeah.
You have to have that.
This will really affect the big guys. The big megaplexes will be most affected by the lack of product. I think anywhere from that 4 to 8 screen size is probably not going to see a huge difference in it unless they start limiting print counts, and then the fight will be on, and that'll be a whole nother issue. But where we'll really see it is the above 10s and 12s and the really big complexes, because you just won't be able to sustain 5 screens of Wonder Woman past the first couple weeks.
Which is so funny to me, because normally I think these studios only think about like the big cineplexes, especially only in LA and New York. So to hear a situation where it could affect those big guys more than the little guys, unless if, like you were saying, depending on the print count. But I don't know. It just kind of makes me laugh. For some reason, I'm like, that's kind of funny. No. But I mean, I hope it's a best of both worlds situation to where those theaters still can't do well with maybe fewer product. But it's just, I don't know, ironic, I guess. That's how I feel about it.
No, the future's got me concerned where the studios will use print counts to justify like not giving everybody a print. They'll keep them small. They'll say, we don't want to spend money on hard drives. We don't want to spend the money on this because we can put it just on streaming and save ourselves. Yeah. And so I do worry about the number of prints that go out into the market. Obviously, the big guys the big megaplexes will be so hungry for content, they'll always get it first come, first serve.
Yep.
And so that'll be an issue. And then I really watching how per capitas and the windowing goes when something starts out in the theater and then goes to streaming. And then they don't allow sub-run theaters or dollar houses or that model to come in when it goes to streaming, because I am seeing that a little bit right now. And I'm not making a huge deal about it because we're just in this pandemic and it is a fight where I'm just glad we have some product, but that is going to be an issue. I don't see how you can keep it out of a theater if it's day and date streaming. I think that there's going to be a real issue with that.
Yeah, and I do wonder with studios specifically if they will start seeing issues on their side too. Like they're not seeing. I'm sure they'll be fine with the streaming numbers, but I'm wondering about the theatrical numbers too, because they're gonna want their cake and eat it too, you know.
Yeah.
So I wonder if
you would think, but I'm kind of seeing a little bit of the opposite. That if it opened in first run and then it goes a couple weeks later or day and date with streaming, that they're not allowing it to go in certain spots, and so we're just going to keep a close eye on that.
Yeah, we have to at this point. We just have no idea.
But
it's a good guess though.
Yeah, how are we gonna fight that? That's gonna be the question.
Do you think we're gonna find out about this, I don't know, maybe in the second half of 2021, or do you think this is gonna be a 2022 thing?
About what?
About this situation that we're talking about.
Oh, it's definitely gonna come up in 2021.
We're dealing with it now, yeah.
Yeah. No, it'll just come up more and more frequently, and be more of a fight, and it'll take a lot more theaters being open for us to really get that situation nailed down. So, there's just too many unknown variables right now to really watch it, and you don't want to freak out and play all your cards right away on that. But those are two areas: the print counts, and then that per capita issue and competitive issue that I think I was hoping that things would be a little different, but I see that being a problem down the road. So yeah, DC wants more films. That's awesome. We'll watch that model, and I think there'll always be movies in theaters. It just won't be as many.
Right.
Then we had some news, speaking of keeping with the Warner Brothers stuff, Godzilla vs. Kong. Do we have some news on that?
Yeah, Hollywood Reporter just dropped this today. They're saying that Legendary and Warner Bros., it seems like they're concluding their fight when it comes to the release of Godzilla vs. Kong. It will be a day-and-date release still. I believe its release is still May 21st. They're still fighting about Dune, though. It seems like Villeneuve is really trying to push... Villeneuve is the director of Dune. He's trying to push hard to make sure that's theatrical only, and it seems like Legendary really wants that too.
Yeah.
So that fight's still going to continue, but at least with Godzilla versus Kong, it's not the answer that we were hoping for, but it seems like it's now being confirmed that it will be day and date.
You know, I thought when Warner Brothers made their big announcement of their whole slate, I thought they really only meant the first like 3/4 of that slate. And I was really shocked when they had the December stuff on there because in my optimistic mind, I'm hoping that everything's back by the holiday corridor at the end of this year. So, I can see why Legendary would still be fighting them on having Dune be exclusive theatrical, because there's just too much contracts and back end stuff to make it go day and date.
As expensive as Godzilla versus Kong was, I bet Dune just towers over that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
And in May, I don't think things are going to be back anywhere close to being able to not go day and date. So that's a pretty safe bet. And I don't mind the day and date because it at least keeps it anchored on the release schedule at that point because of the flexibility. So that'll be good. And I didn't know about Godzilla versus Kong. I think, and I've still got I just don't know about Dune either. I don't know about these sci-fi movies. I'm a little concerned that the audience isn't there for that anymore. So,
but wouldn't it be nice if they were only in theaters?
Oh, yes. I'm not going to argue with that.
Warner Bros. Might be disappointed, but
yeah. Well, and to have the producers and the creative community on our side would be really ideal. I know that another thing in the news was that Sundance Film Festival was going virtual and that they postponed Con because of not being able to have in-person screenings. And they canceled the drive-in screenings for Sundance. So, I mean, even the awards and film festival circuit is being impacted by this right now. But what's interesting is that we're hearing is that the creators don't like not having in-person screenings for things like film festivals and some of these awards films. So like the awards films we're really going to see in February come out. They're worried that the critics and the audiences who would vote for these things and buy these things at these events are not going to have as favorable of an opinion of the films because they're not in the right context to be screening them. That there's something about seeing some film in a theater that you tend to be more favorable about it. Mm-hmm. And that
also the amount of drinking and drugs that goes on at these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, I'll pay you that.
Right. But I think that by not having the in-person screenings, it cheapens the experience. And in your mind, you've devalued it to the point where you're like, I'm not going to pay millions of dollars for that film because in my mind, it's just a streaming film because I've just streamed it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think what we're going to see now is the repercussions, hopefully in the creative community a little bit by this, it's one thing if you knew from the onset that your film was going to go to Netflix and not be screened anywhere and not make the film circuits and stuff. It's a whole nother when you're kind of being forced in that direction. So I'm hoping that this just helps ally them with the exhibitor community and that between creatives and exhibitors, we have a strong block that keeps movies in theaters.
Yeah. I'm hoping that this only strengthens them wanting their movies to be in theaters. I mean, there's always those occasions where, Netflix or Amazon like really drops money on a movie. And of course, these creators can't say no to that. But I think generally for the most part, they are looking at...
Or they're Jordan Peele and they don't care.
There she is.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that in a while.
She's waking up.
They can go be in the Jordan Peele group over there. The ones that just don't give a F.
A
flying F.
A flying F.
They just thumb their nose at the theaters.
But I do think the majority is on the side of theaters and not on the quote-unquote Jordan Peele side, as Cody is nicknamed.
The Peels of the world.
The Peels of the world.
Yeah.
But big fan, though. Love his work.
Sure.
Well, we're going to peel back the curtain on this new website.
Hey.
Yay, let's get to something better. anyways, we'll follow that creator thing too, because I mean, I think there is something there. You don't enjoy a film as much if you don't see it in the theater.
Oh yeah.
So, website time, guys. We launched.
Yes,
the
we did.
New and improved Silver Screen Insider website.
Yeah, it looks great. Only saw a few little hiccups, but as far as things go, it went way better than I expected it when it came to the launch.
They launched. I drank.
Yeah, we did drink in the office. We had champagne.
Ken especially. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, we split a bottle between the three of us.
I still got a headache.
and then I had a cocktail on top of that.
Snuck in a
I got a headache the next day. I'm too old to be doing that. We did. I was like, I'm not going to work today. I'm going to work from home.
Migraine, huh? Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Should have read between the lines.
I know. Well, you didn't have the additional cocktails. And then I had some at home too. So that probably didn't help either.
No, definitely not.
It was like the accumulation of like 2 years worth of work. Like we had started with a marketing company and our concepts and our ideas to really flesh out this project in 2019 when Eric was still with us. We went to all these meetings, and then we were in development when COVID hit and we had to postpone everything. And so after the industry kind of like settled out and we kind of had a better idea of where things were going, or we thought we did, we pulled the trigger again on development, trying to get it done by the end of the year. And it's been just a long process, but we're super excited. It's up and running. Kyle said there were a few little glitches, but I think we've gotten it all figured out now.
Yeah, I think so too. Generally speaking, like everything on the site is running smoothly, and aside from a few small things, like it seems like everyone's working with the site very well.
Yep.
Exactly as we hoped for, because we wanted to be more user friendly. We wanted to be more insightful, more data driven, and it seems like that feedback has been pretty good so far. So we're just going to continue with this new website, and we're hoping to add more things along the way. But as of launch and for waiting 2 years, despite everything that's going on, like we're really happy for this, and we're hoping that it helps theaters regardless of if there's a pandemic or just normal circumstances.
Right. So some of the things you'll see on it, if you haven't got on already, is we're trying to track critic scores now. So we're looking at Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic, even cinema scores, the post scores. And then we take all that into consideration and we create a SSI score, what we in the office call our butts and seats score. And
patent pending.
Yeah. Trademarked. No. And this score really reflects the score really reflects how we feel the film is responding to audiences. So is it bringing people to your theater? Is this a film that people want to see in the theater? Is this something that had good word of mouth? The stronger the butts and seats score to 10, the better the film was in theaters. So sometimes you'll see some pretty critically acclaimed films that'll get some high Rotten Tomatoes score, like in the 80s or 90s, but it'll have a low SSI butts and seats score. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to go see that in the theater.
Maybe some of us do.
Some of you do, but in the reality is most theaters, that's not packing in the audiences. Right. And that's kind of,
we want big audiences, big concession sales, repeat customers.
Right.
That's what we're looking for with this score.
But we're not going to just pick just franchise films because, while those always do bring in a lot of people, we're really trying to narrow down on those films like Croods or Sonic, the ones that were maybe not as critically as acclaimed, but actually just kept bringing families back and stuff. So we're trying to look for those kind of quiet sleeper hits that might surprise you. I know for like our clients, Let 'Em Go brought in quite a few, and that would have earned them a higher butts and seats score for that. So so we're really excited to kind of develop that further and add some more nuance and some more context to the critic scores. So that's a new option. Comp films, that was really fun. I had to go and add a bunch of films like that were comparable comparisons to
comparable comparisons.
Yeah, comparable comparisons.
Patent pending.
Patent pending.
picture being locked in an office with your significant other and having that significant other with her new website, no sense of humor, asking you, what is a movie that goes
super stressed out
that compares with this?
Having a few drinks and not appreciating any humor in that moment.
No humor at all. So that was fun.
It was also fun to hear from outside the door, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was interesting later that evening.
Oh, don't think that Kyle got out of that. I was like on him too. I'm like, Kyle, what is a movie for this one that you would compare? And poor Drew here in the office, a senior partner, he got roped into it too. So we all were giving opinions.
Surprisingly, I think he had the most fun.
I think he did too, in fact.
I don't know. I loved watching your hair fall out when you're like, what's a good comp film for Jungle Cruise? Yeah. And Kyle and I are both like, yeah, Skyscraper, totally.
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson's in both of them. That makes sense.
Because it's not just who's in the film. Like, you can compare other Tom Cruise films with Tom Cruise films, but it's also the genre of film, and the
directors, supporting actors.
Yeah, all of that. You have to take all that into consideration. So, we tried to have at least 2 comp films. Sometimes we could only come up with 1. And sometimes
the industry shut down. It's not our fault.
Yeah. Yeah. And you want to have them be relevant too. We could come up with so many comp films from like the 80s and 90s, but that's not going to help us today.
You guys really nailed that. Meanwhile, I'm like, guys, it's like 5 years ago.
I know.
Not 25 or 50.
There's a shark in this movie? Jaws it is.
Yeah.
They're like, that's a good comp film. Guys, the box office numbers are so
I know.
Big difference.
Sometimes when it's a remake though, what I can't remember the one that
Pinocchio was a difficult one.
Yeah, Pinocchio.
We couldn't nail down the new Italian Pinocchio.
Well, in my mind, the nearest comp to the new Italian Pinocchio from Roadside was a French Beauty and the Beast film that was a live action, same tone, same PG-13 dark drama, but it didn't play in the US, so he couldn't comp it. So because I was not finding it anywhere, I'm like, why am I not finding this film? I know I've seen it.
I would just compare it to that thing you pick up behind your dog with a plastic baggie.
Oh, Ken.
Nobody wants to watch a dubbed film. It's not 1974. Come on.
Well, some people want to watch it.
Only the French do.
I booked
apparently.
it and it gross. So there.
So yeah, take that, Ken.
Yeah,
I guess.
Pinocchio has a cricket friend, and he smokes cigars and gets in trouble. And that's the only Pinocchio I care about.
That's
good old
Pinocchio.
Classic children's content
stuck
right
in
there.
a whale.
Yeah.
Exactly
Turns
what
into a
kids are
donkey.
clamoring for.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the remake of that. Because I really hope that it's exactly like what he just said. It's just Jiminy Cricket smoking a cigar. Come on, that's great for kids.
We'll have Tim Burton remake it like all the others, and it probably will be.
Yeah. Just as depressing as Dumbo was.
And I think the biggest change to the website that we have noticed has been wonderful is the new My Account section. You can upgrade your account. You can pay your account right there. You can see past due invoices, and it's been awesome. I think that's been the most utilized in the last couple of days.
Yeah, for sure. And it just goes back to us wanting to be a lot more user friendly and not having people so in the dark about like how their payment plan or what the structure of their payment plan is or how far along they are in that process. So
yeah,
again, we just want
what
this
card
to be...
they have on file. How do I update my credit card if it's expired? I mean, we didn't really have an easy solution for that before. We had to do a lot of things manually on the back end, but now you can go in yourself and update everything and see it all. So we're so excited and I know more people will get to experience it. The problem is you usually check out the site when there's actually product coming out. So I think a lot of people will get a good taste of it next week when Marksman comes out because they're going to need materials for Marksman. So
yeah, definitely. Which of course are available at silverscreeninsider.com.
Yes. Log in, check out the movie database, new and improved. There's 3 views now. You can view it by release, you can view it by studio, and you can view it by calendar view now.
You also stand across the room and view it because the images are such high resolution.
Up close in a chair, far away.
You can view it on your phone.
From the window outside the office.
I'm using the website on my iPad.
Nice. All of that is supported.
Sponsored by iPad.
But yeah, but what the heck? Let the people know, huh?
No, and you got to go see our beautiful faces. And we're going to have more fun things with the podcast. And we just launched our podcast page on Facebook today.
Yep. Off the Break podcast is on Facebook.
Because we realized we're like, oh, we don't have a Facebook page for that. So we're on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. Yes, we are. Sorry.
Yes, Kyle.
Did you see the caption Cody put underneath your picture?
I have not.
On the About Us page?
On the About Us page?
I have not.
Go check it out, Mr.
Yeah, I showed you.
Are we checking it out right now?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right.
No, your new description
on
your
the
bio.
About Us page? Okay. Yeah. What do we got here? I'm so nerd. Oh, no. Yeah, you've shown me this.
I did show you.
Yeah, you did show me this.
Yeah.
Kyle Brester, movie lover, popcorn hater.
Yes.
Media manager for
I'm Aaron
SSI.
Kyle.
Godless savage.
Yeah, I'm Aaron Kyle's dirty laundry. He does not like popcorn people.
I do not.
Shameful secret. I feel like we have to be honest.
It's not a secret. It's on this podcast.
We got to be honest with our listeners. He does not like popcorn.
I'm sorry. I will have a lot of other concessions, but popcorn I can't do.
If you look at that handsome face, he looks so trusting, and then you come to find out, backstab, he doesn't like popcorn.
It's only handsome in the picture, though. I'm also a backstabber by being ugly in real life, so
isn't that a front stabber then? Stabbing you with
honestly,
my eyes out
in the front and the back.
My eyes. All right, you ready to wrap this bad boy up?
I am. Yeah.
All right.
We went over everything.
All right. So everyone, welcome to 2021, and thank you for listening to another episode of this podcast. Again, check out the new website, silverscreeninsider.com, if you're a movie theater owner or manager and you need all the upcoming release information and marketing materials. We got you covered there. And also check our podcast out on all the podcast platforms and over at Facebook. We have a Facebook page
and
now.
Instagram. Check us
out. And Instagram.
Out.
Yes, I don't know why I keep forgetting Instagram, but we do have that too.
We do. Yeah, we'll be posting a lot more podcasts, fun behind the scenes things.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do before and after pictures of our studio because we are going to be in the process of upgrading the studio this year. So we're going to have behind the scenes. We're going to talk about some our equipment and how you could get set up for the theater with your own podcasts. And yeah, so we're excited. We're going to take Off the Break podcast to new places this year.
Love it. Can't wait for that.
All right.
Hey, put down your quarantini. We're not finished yet, okay? Wait a couple of minutes. Until
it's a Friday.
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 Bye, everybody.
Bye.